Hello guys, how are we doing and welcome back to the channel. I was lucky enough to hit Iridescent in Black Ops 6 Season 1 ranked play in just over 100 wins. As you can see here, I'm just over 10,000 SR. I go into my challenge and reward, and you can see I just got 103 wins to hit Iridescent, which I think is actually pretty good. Let me know how many wins you've got so far in ranked play and what rank you are. But I think that's all right. I think time-wise it's taken me a while because I've been trying to focus on content. But on average, 100 SR for a win, excluding any losses, which definitely have happened, is actually not bad if I'm going to be a little bit humble and, give myself a pat on the back. So, yeah, obviously that's not the premise of today's video. Today we're going to be getting into a gameplay breakdown of an Iridescent gameplay, and unfortunately it was spoiled at the end by someone in the other team booting the match. It's a very common problem we see in ranked play at this time, especially when I'm in Iridescent. And it does make the experience a little bit boring. It's a solid gameplay, so I'm going to break it down as I normally would do. And we do get the dub, but the dub doesn't count, is what I'm trying to say. So sit back, relax, grab a drink, and let's crack on with the rest of the video. So we find ourselves on Hardpoint on Protocol, which is a map I haven't really covered in a breakdown style so far. And as I say, it is a really good game. I go 46-19 with like a minute on hill, so it's a solid game. It's just a shame it had to be ruined by the booters at the very end. And yeah, booters, could you call them hackers? Are hackers booters? I'll leave that up to you guys. So the main premise of P1 is pretty much similar to what it's like on Control on Protocol. So you've got to remember there's 3/4 main routes through this map. Okay, you have the route around this side, you have the middle route, which usually consists of going through P3 or Elbow, and then you have the route from the helipad. Okay, they're the three sort of main routes around this map. You do have one that goes underground, but for Protocol, for me, I only really pay attention to underground if we're missing a player. Okay, so in my head, I'm always looking at if we're seeing 4 consistent people in the kill feed from the enemy team, and if we're not, if we're somehow, I haven't seen that player, whatever their name is, for a while, I'm then going to be looking behind and say, okay, let me check the zip line, let me check the spiral stairs up to P3, for example. But my main focus right now, until that happens, is to make sure that I can narrow down my attention. So I like to check and run towards this area here to make sure that no one's coming through this way, because P2, as you guys know, is around this sort of area. So me eliminating any enemies pushed from this side means I can go, okay, they're not coming that way. I can then focus on these 2 other main routes from the enemy side. So it's all about mid-top control, trying to get decent control of this area of the map. Checking the right, can't see anybody there. Do get a kill. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to be traded, and unfortunately, because my teammates died and I pushed to the other side of the map, and my weight is further towards this side of the map than they are, so you can see there's a player on their point. So they're here, I'm here. As a result, their team has spawned here, and our team has spawned here. So it's a bit of a shame. I've pushed through that halfway line, and as a result, we flipped. It is what it is. So we're left in a little bit of a sticky situation where we would like to really flip for P2, because P2 is the other side of the map now. So we've just spawned in, and something important when you spawn here is not just to run straight up to P1, because realistically that can just, it's an obvious play. Let's be real. If you guys are holding, top windows or top gun, your main eyes, your main focus is going to be to the bottom of the stairs, especially if you know spawns and you know they're spawning bottom heli steps. So me spawning there, you don't just run forward every time. I'm very much conscious of the fact that there's 30 seconds left. By the time I get to the hill, there's probably 25 seconds left. I can maybe win that. But if I don't flip spawns now, when will I ever flip spawns now? So my main focus for this first point is to try and wean my way through the map to try and flip the spawns some way, shape or form. So I ran past that player. I thought it was a teammate because they didn't challenge me or anything. I turn around and see my teammates closely following me up, so I just leave it to them and progress and keep going. Now, this route is a nice little route. I'll pause it just there. Now, what this does, it's giving my team spawns because I've pushed enough through P1 to stop them from spawning at P1. So essentially all you really need, if I really simplify the spawns on P1, if you imagine a wiggly line that goes down the middle of the map, if your team have more emphasis towards this side of the map, this side of the map, your team are likely to spawn this side, okay? If your team has more emphasis towards this side of the map, your team are likely to spawn this side, and that's generally how it works, okay? So because I've managed to get past that sort of halfway line, I'm in their billiard room or in their pool room, whatever you want to call it, in their bottom grannies, my teammates spawned at me, essentially. That's what's happened. And being able to push from this side does, one, get me the spawns, which we just said, and two, it allows me to try and contest their point and reduce the amount of hill time they get from P1 on this map mode. What I've also done here is I'm likely to have been coming up the zip. So what I like to do is get off the zip halfway, jump into the bottom floor and challenge from there. Whereas if I'd have jumped into the top and the windows, chances are that it's a little bit more of an easy play. All you need to do really is jump off the zip in order to leave it early. But it's something I like to try and do in my gameplay. So they're on an absolutely disgusting heady. I don't like challenging that window unless I've got decent control. So now I'm trying to remaneuver myself, keep the hill wide, and try and just get good control of P2 area before we try and progress and sit on that hill. So I've just got a couple of kills. Checking this line of sight here. This guy somehow spawns in front of me. And now we're trying to set up for this hill, okay? So there's one person dead. We're looking for about 3 other players who are likely spawning when P2 is live. The 2 main spawns are in P3 or a little bit further back in the spawn, okay? So I'm very much wary of the fact that their main direction is going to be through middle, or if they do end up spawning here, down that right-hand side, okay? So I'm trying to watch both. Now, I'm also looking at my teammates and going, okay, first of all, we've got 2 people on time, which is never ideal. But you can see they're not really watching much. You've got a teammate who's sort of watching front, sort of not. I'm trying to help them front. I'm trying to help middle. My teammates in the back, trying to support the middle side. It's a little bit of a crap setup, if I'm being completely honest. We're playing with a mixed skill of players, so it is what it is. Unfortunately, we do get pieced by Kratos himself. I think he was the guy that boots us, actually, so I'm not going to gas him whatsoever. And I just died to a spawn there. That's unreadable. Unfortunately, my teammates didn't have trophies out at the time, so then they just come straight through. Now, we've spawned in, and there is 25 seconds left. Okay, now P2's here, as you guys probably know, and I've spawned in, where am I? Here, give or take. P3, as you guys know, is all the way over here. So I've actually got a good old marathon I need to run to get to P3. But what I can do in the meantime, because I notice my teammates are spawning out, I can be a pretty difficult person here. I can be someone really annoying because of the fact my teammates are spawned out. Mini here is also just spawning with my teammates. I can see 3 green areas, which means I've got 3 teammates who have spawned over here, which is good because that means that I can play for this time and not risk losing spawns. As long as my teammates play their life and they don't die, chances are, if I die challenge P2, I'm just going to spawn with them because they've just spawned there, which means it's probably a safe space for me to spawn. And that's why I've decided to chow P2 here. You'll see how I play this out. So he didn't read the spawns, unfortunately, for him, I guess. And we're just trying to clear this hill now, okay? So because our teammates have still got a decent amount of weight towards this left-hand side here, we're probably going to maintain these good spawns. And all we really need to do is just hold them back from, you know, getting the rest of the sales. So I'm just trying to get scrap time here. If I get any, great. If I don't get any, it is what it is. Try and get a 2-piece. Unfortunately, I got a little bit too big for my boots. We do end up getting traded out. We do spawn in, pull out a sub because P3 is in a room. So I want to be able to win these gunfights at close range. And we've got good spawns, okay, for P3 here. So on protocol, Hardpoint and P3 is active. There's 3 main spawns, okay? There's one back here, one back here, and one back here. Now, as long as you've got someone sort of in this zone, they're not going to spawn there, okay? So that's sort of the block. So I'm being very vague. Again, if you want to see a proper in-depth spawn guide for protocol, you can check it out on the channel recently. Then the main spawn typically is here or here, depending on where the people defending the hill are from. So say, for example, if we're blocking this back spawn, which can be doable by just being on the hill, let's say we've got someone here, and then we have someone here, the enemy will then spawn there, meaning that this player can hold a cut across the map, basically making sure they can't come out of their spawn. And the same thing happens if you have a player blocking this back spawn and you have a player pushed up the right, the enemy's going to spawn here, meaning that they can then watch this line of sight, make sure they can't get out of their spawn. So that's the sort of setup I have in my head. That's what I want to try and achieve if I can, but it obviously depends on winning gunfights in the first place. I'm trying to clear top because top catwalk is a massive point of control for this hill. So it's important to try and get control of this hill, of this area, because it means essentially if the enemy has control of that top catwalk bit, it's really hard to keep control of the hill. As you see there, I lost that gunfight. I wasn't aware of their presence, and we've lost the hill. We are in a sticky situation where they've pushed through the map now, which means that they've got the good spawns. Essentially, they're spawning close to P3, and we've got to run through this horrible middle area to get to the hill at all. And it's a real shit show. Okay, I've got to be honest. Spawning out on P3 is terrible, but we turn it up. I don't know how much points they get, but they don't get much. I think from P4 this hill onwards, we absolutely fry. So I've just put enough damage out, hopefully, for my team to get some trades. Mini shins go absolutely huge. But unfortunately, we have been two-piece and it hasn't fared well. But we're keeping the pressure up. My teammates are playing alive, and it's all about just at the point where you're on this hill, you pretty much spawn just as close to each other for P4. So if you're dying and dying and dying and dying, you just need to keep the pressure up. As soon as you try and take a little bit of a weird route around, you're then delaying your push to the hill, meaning that they're going to have more people on the hill before you are. So as long as there's one dying and killing from each team, you just hit the point out and try and win those gunfights. The goal here is just to try and get more than 1 or 2 kills, meaning that you can stagger their push. So I've just had a notification that 2 players have been stunned, so I can, I'm waiting for 2 players here. Managed to get 1, unfortunately don't get the second guy, although there's 2 guys in there. Flank 3, we know that, means there's 1 big door and 1 spiral. Still haven't killed spiral, I'm not sure why they're hiding. And this is starting to look like a good hold, okay? I'm trying to push through the objective here because I want it to be hard for them to even get anywhere near the hill. But I'm also very conscious that if it's a similar logic to P1 on P4. If I draw a wiggly line here, that's not quite straight, it's wiggly. If you have more weight towards the zip side of the map, the enemies are likely to spawn this side. However, if your teammates are more weighted towards this side of the map, spiral, and this left-hand side, the enemy is more likely to spawn this side, okay? Which is not what you want, because I'm already forward thinking. I'm thinking, okay, P2's here, P1 could be from either hill, so I really want these spawns just to make it an easy job for me. So when I'm pushing through to spiral, I need to make sure that I've got a teammate who's also pushed far back into the lift. So I'm pulling back. I'm not quite pushing all the way through. Because of that, I managed to get a trade from my teammate, and I'm trying to push this out. Now I've noticed what's happened is my teammates just spawned out P3, like the spiral direction, which means the enemies are likely to be coming from a zip line or the big door. Unfortunately, they read the push up. It wasn't great from me. And this is where the gameplay kicks off, guys. This is where Prime Harrz comes out, I think. I think from this point, I die 9 times and get 20, 30 kills, I think. So it's pretty solid gameplay from here on out. So to break P1, a nice little longer off angle I have is from the helipad, as you can see here. And from here, it just means you can see their route to P1. So if they come around this way, you can see them. If they come from front P1, you can see them. If they're sat on the gun, you can see them. So it essentially enables you to make sure they can't come any one of these 3 places, and allows your teammates to push up the hill with some confidence that you're looking over them. Fortunately, we do die, but we're continuing the pressure. I'm making people weak. I'm trying to get as much damage out, trying to play my life so I'm not easily dismissible. Fact is that because I was holding my life so much and I was being so annoying to the enemy team and I wasn't dying, they're going to be calling me out. They're going to be like, Harrz is on the heli, Harrz is on the heli, and a lot of their attention is going to slowly but surely focus onto me, allowing my team to jump on that distraction and get the kills. We also have a teammate pushing through to the new side here, which will eventually give us spawns given enough pressure. And because I'm not seeing anyone directly run at me, I'm reading the flip. Okay, that's essentially what I'm doing here. Managed to get some ammo, thankfully. And it's not a bad hold. It could be worse. We're in a good position now for P2, considering we had the bad spawns for P1, sorry. And at the moment, because my team are dying, we're really trying to fight the battle from this side, okay? Now, my teammates have just spawned out, which tells me there's an enemy this side of radio tower, okay? So I'm already looking for a player here. I know that's the case. And because of the spawns, the best spawns for P2, as you guys probably know, are back here, okay? It's much easier to hold P2 from this side than it is spawning out over here. Not because of the distance, but because you've got head glitches and cover, and it's easier to defend from this side. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to wait for my teammates to pinch from this spawn while I pinch from this spawn, pretty much being a really, really annoying player to play against. So I'm not rushing to the hill. I'm allowing my teammates to just, you know, take their time. I'm sort of slowly progressing on this area, getting kills as they come to me. And we should now have the better spawns. Just wait for my teammate to spawn in. Notice they spawn behind me, which tells me the enemy is now spawning bottom P3. Okay, they'll spawn here as soon as we get someone top mid. Okay, so but for now we have nobody top mid. I can see I've got a teammate on the hill and then 2 teammates spawning in behind me, which means the enemies are likely to spawn P3, i.e. come straight out of middle. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm just waiting for these middle kills. Getting a lot of damage out, and that's 4 down. Now, thankfully, because of our position, we've completely released the back spawn whilst getting 4 down, which allows my team to spawn out while they spawn in. So we've just given them the good spawns with 10 seconds left, which essentially means that they've got to fight for good, like P3. They've got a trek to go because P3's all the way the other side of the map. So I'm just trying to get this hill time. The whole of the enemy team are sort of spawning at old. I'm just clearing through this side of the map, making sure they don't follow me up anytime soon. Fortunately, do get a couple. I get a couple there. Spot the player going top zip, and we're currently spawning out. Now, what's interesting here is I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this, right? I can see a player who is top catwalk. I've got a teammate who's also backside of P3. And what I'm waiting for is the information on where Mini Shins spawns in, okay? Because this is going to tell me exactly where the enemies are going to be spawning, okay? So for now, I'm holding this mid zone, waiting to see where Mini spawns in. He spawns in behind me, which tells me the enemies are all spawning the other side of P3. They're all going to be spawning back here, okay? So that's my main focus. Again, I'm pulling out the sub because it's a better gun for the environment we're in for the hill. We're getting a good amount of kills. My teammates are doing just enough to hold them back. And again, I don't know anybody's there, but I think they're spawning in that direction, so I'm throwing a grenade just to delay the push or at least damage them slightly. Now, I've also noticed my teammates pushed all the way around the backside, which means any kills we get from now, or potentially some others, are going to be spawning them out this door, essentially. So I did a lot of damage. Unfortunately, couldn't finish a single kill, and we go 4 down and spawn out. We spawn in, we look at the time, we see how little is left of the old hill, and we fully rotate to the new hill. So unfortunately, teammates do die first, but we do enough to get a couple of kills. The last player, that's 3 down. The last player on the enemy team was on the old hill, which means they're going to be coming from P3 side, i.e. spiral. My teammates just spawn zip, which means that chances of them, if I make P4 active and clear the drawings, my teammates just spawned backside of this building, which essentially means that chances of an enemy coming from zipline are very slim, because otherwise my teammate would have spawned the other side. Okay, so all our focus really needs to be is the spiral staircase and the big door. So I'm trying to communicate to my teammate to stay that side of the hill so I can just control this area. Managed to get a kill. KSV is disgusting, by the way. Don't know how it's so good. But because of, you know, I said I had the middle line, right? Okay, and then you're probably saying, well, you pushed through it now. Like, you're here. Like, essentially, you're like here. Why are you not flipping? Why are the enemy not flipping? And the reason the enemy aren't flipping is because I've got teammates further back. I've got teammates. As long as I've got a teammate, essentially, further back than this, we're looking pretty good. Okay, so I've got a teammate, first of all, sat P2, which is quite a far way back. I've also got a teammate who's just spawned in, who just spawned in over here. So I'm pretty safe to push up to spiral because I know I've got a teammate here and a teammate here, meaning that their spawns are still going to be fixed around this side. So I'm playing this really cruddy angle. This is a horrible angle to try and kill an enemy from. So I'm just playing it. Okay, I'm trying to get a kill, trying to move a little bit, waiting to see if a second enemy drops. I notice we're looking for one player. Okay, we get 3 down, and one player. There's no one to trade. There's no one to. There's no one making noise. We don't know where they are. So I'm sort of reading a flip. I'm sort of reading a rotation here. We did get it right, and the lack of info was some info, I guess. But we spawn in, we notice that P1's going to be the next hill available for us to get some good time on. So I pull out an AR because I feel like that's going to be the most impactful result. Again, it's getting towards the end of P4 here. There's so long left. And this is the better side to have. Okay, so I'm thinking, okay, I just need to make sure the enemy don't get a free zip line up to this building, because it's the building I want to control. Okay, so I'm checking the zip, managed to get good timing on a player coming up, and I'm just checking for that player. Okay, now I notice there's still one on the time because it's red, and I'm just making sure they can't come on the zip line. Now, unfortunately, I was a bit too honed in and a bit too focused on that area, which meant I didn't realize our teammates were spawning out. But it's fine. We've got good amount of hill control. The game's relatively close. I get a grenade kill due to a solid nade down their elbow. I'm trying to just be annoying. I'm trying to get the kills. I'm trying to do enough damage so my teammates can push up. I'm trying to be that really annoying player. Meanwhile, I've got many shins on the flank doing the dirty work, trying to get the spawns. Now, the fact I've just spawned here, my teammate is still back there, means the enemy team are going to be spawning all the way back, which I can communicate to my teammate who's in the building and say, they're still spawning your side, try and cut them off. So again, I don't know anybody's coming that way because I don't know anyone's coming. There's no red dots telling me they're there, but I have a feeling they're spawning that way because my teammates spawn behind me. So I'm throwing a nade. I'm not cooking it. I'm just throwing a nade so that an enemy's less likely to come that way. And or if they come that way, they're going to be damaged somewhat. So now I'm just trying to fight for my life on this hill. I see two people bottom house. And because of where my teammates are positioned here, watching the middle area, I'm relatively comfortable they've got this side for me. So I'm really just focusing on this side. Do try and trade my teammate out, thankfully. I do know the reason I chowed that guy is because I knew there was a couple players in the house beforehand. And I noticed my teammates are also spawning out. Now, I'm weak. If I die, I'm reset. My progress up this map is going to be reset with my teammates. Okay, and I'm almost back from square one. Whereas because I play my life here and I give up a couple of seconds of hill time, I'm playing my life, and I've still got decent map control here. So me playing my life and getting off the hill a couple of seconds earlier has meant they don't really know where I am. So I'm picking up a sub so I can be somewhat versatile with where I can push and my confidence in taking certain gunfights on. And I decided to do a cheeky little pinch here. Unfortunately, do get caught out a little. So I'm not sure what wall I spawned in. But we're actually in a really good position here. So I'm just trying to cut them off from spawn if I break that down a little bit. So we just got 3 or 4 down, okay? With one last player up, who is this Magin guy, who we know is at the backside of P2. Now, when P2 is live, you've got, again, 2 main spawns. This one here. Oops. Let's try again. This isn't working very well, is it? That one there. And then there's one back here, okay? Now, because our teammates are on P2, they're going to spawn here, which means their main route to come off the hill is there. So what I'm trying to do here is I notice they've just spawned in. So I'm just trying to play the cut between where they're spawned and where they need to be. Don't forget, my teammate is on P2. They're spawning back here. Their most direct route to the hill is there, okay? They can either run all the way around, which they can do if they want, but I can be a massive benefit for my teammate. My teammate can watch that left side. My teammate's here, right? They can watch this left side if they want, absolutely freely. What they need from me is to own this top middle area so they can't get pinched from the top. So that's what I'm trying to do, okay? I'm trying to cut off that spawn point here, that little intersection here. That's what I'm trying to cut off, and that's why I position myself in this zone. So I'm not just directly challenging, I'm not just swinging out knowing they're there. I'm being smart. I'm guaranteeing at least 1 kill by playing this horrible little cruddy corner, and I do manage to get 1. But I've got backup behind me, and they're far back enough to be blocking the spawn this side. So because my teammates are sort of here, 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 the enemy's still going to keep spawning back here, okay? So we've got a real nice setup that although we don't have the best side for the spawn, the enemy's pretty set. They can either go all the way around, in which case this player's going to pick them off, or they're going to have to go through mid, in which case these 2 players are going to pick them off. The only other option really is to go through middle, which is a really long route just to get these kills and then progress to P2. It's a really nice setup. Again, I'm spawning in. I'm nading that same cut from their spawn to the hill. I'm throwing a stun just to get info, and we do get the dub. I go 46-19. We win by 70 odd points. Our whole team actually does really bloody well. But as you can see here, GG no SR. the game eventually crashes out, which is a really real shame because it was a really solid game and I felt like I was going to get chunky amounts of SR. So yeah, a little bit of shit talk in the chat, as you do when you're frustrated. Yeah, that's the game. I hope I made Hardpoint Protocol a little bit easier to understand, and hopefully the Spawn guys, if you've watched them before, they make a little bit more sense after watching this as well. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Enjoy the rest of your day, and yeah, I guess I will see you guys in the, well, let me just show you actually how this ends. It stays like this for a while, and then all of a sudden that's what I get. Server timed out. I'm pretty much stuck like that. But yeah, that will do for me. I hope you enjoy the rest of the day, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao for now.